Hi, I'm Kevin Rich, consultant with the Perth Mint. Political leaders around the world are often polarizing, and that's no different than here in the U.S. Richard Nixon was the 37th president elected in 1968 in the United States. He had served under Eisenhower as vice president for 8 years in the 50s. In 1960, he lost a very kind of public election to a young John Kennedy in the first televised debates election. He left politics a couple years later saying, "You won't have Nixon to kick around any longer." Critics of Nixon blamed him for escalating the Vietnam War. He kept an enemies list, and he actually had to resign from the White House after the Watergate scandal. Supporters of Nixon point out that he opened the doors diplomatically to China and the Soviet Union and did eventually end the Vietnam War. But why are we talking about Nixon, and what does that have to do with gold? Well, one of Nixon's most important acts was in 1971, he took the U.S. off the gold standard. And what this meant was that the Bretton Woods Agreement that had been agreed in 1944, where, say, the British pound, French franc, or German mark were convertible to the U.S. at a fixed exchange rate, and then the U.S. dollar was convertible to gold at $35 an ounce, that system was ending. So until then, if you ran a U.S. trade surplus, you could tender those dollars to the U.S. for gold. Critics of Nixon said this showed great weakness for the U.S., but what was happening was inflation was rising in the U.S., and gold supplies at Fort Knox were actually dwindling. Many economists thought it was very a smart move, and that the markets could dictate the exchange rates, and that would force discipline among governments in how they manage their finances. Critics of Nixon said Bretton Woods should have stayed in place, and by taking it away, it opened the door for much larger borrowing and wealth inequities around the world. Regardless of which side you fall on, let's look at what gold did. In 1971, gold was under $40 an ounce. Today, it sits at somewhere between $1,750 and $1,800 an ounce, and that's an 8% annual increase over that 50-year period. And it's that 50-year track record that makes gold such a great and valuable asset in your portfolio. Thanks for joining me today, and have a great day.